All right, here we go. Thanks for coming out to pitch day for 100K. We're up from 50K because we have the SSBCI program going on. So every dollar we invest is matched dollar for dollar by the Governor's Office of Economic Development SSBCI program. So I think that's awesome. I always think pitch day is awesome, but having 100K to invest rather than 50K is even more awesome. So today we're going to hear from George at Bet Odyssey. George, I'm sorry, I don't have your partner's name, so you'll get to introduce him when it's your time to go. A couple of things for any of those who might be new to our program. Startup NV is Nevada's statewide nonprofit startup accelerator and incubator. We operate 3 nonprofit programs for entrepreneurs or founders and 4 for-profit investment funds and syndicates. Our nonprofit operation is supported by grants, sponsors in the near term, and over the long term, participating accelerator companies pledge a teeny tiny amount of their equity to our nonprofit. And we hope that that's worth a massive amount of money at some point so that our foundation can live on for a very long time. Now, we run a pitch day for 100K every other Wednesday where companies pitch for the Q&A that this group will relentlessly provide and admission into our accelerator program, which comes with an investment from Fund NV. And we also add to that usually by our syndicate of investors, and we're now adding to that with the SSBCI program. Our average without the extra match from SSBCI has been $124,000. So we've made 16 direct investments in 21 and 2022 so far, ranging from $50,000 on the low end to $1.3 million on the high end. Okay, now for the legal disclaimer. Founders pitching today are pitching for investment from our SEC-approved venture capital funds and our accredited investor syndicate. The pitches today are directed to our investors, but the entire community is encouraged to attend for educational purposes, kind of like watching Shark Tank. The educational component of what we do here is critical to our mission to grow Nevada's startup ecosystem and diversify our economy. The pitches today are not, I repeat, not a general solicitation for investment. Information on our programs for entrepreneurs and accredited investors, please visit our website at startupnv.org. Our nonprofit work with entrepreneurs, along with people interested in startups and investing, would not be possible without the financial help from our sponsors and supporters, the City of Las Vegas, the Nevada Governor's Office of Economic Development, Eide Bailly, and KPMG. If you're someone or you know someone who might be able to help with financial support or in-kind services, please introduce them to me or my colleague, Andrew Baca, and we will sign them up. Would love for everybody here to make Startup NV your charity of choice on Amazon Smile. If you don't know what that is, just send us an email. We'll tell you how to do it. We get a teeny percentage of the money you spend on Amazon if you make us your charity on Amazon Smile. Other big announcement is our free founder bootcamp starts on October 11th, the second Tuesday in October. So there's 12 sessions that end after taking a quick break during the holiday period in the middle of January. That all leads to our investor bootcamp, which is this year going to invest $400,000 in one startup. And if we raise more money, we'll invest even more. So last couple of years, we've only been able to invest $200,000 in one startup and a little bit more in a few others. But this year, the top prize is $400,000. Thanks again to the SSBCI match. And you can begin whenever you're ready.
Hey, Jeff, thanks for the introduction, and I'd like to thank everybody for attending today's seminar. My name is George Parthamos, and I'm the founder and CEO of Bet Odyssey, and I have with me Nicholas Capes, who is our chairman. G'day there. So the problem that we see is that obviously sports betting is growing, particularly in America. If you look at the recent Nielsen report, they say that around 106 million people are actually interested in actually participating in sports betting in America right now. And that's growing at roughly 13.6% compounded annual growth rate. There's a lot of data that's floating around today when it comes to major sports and racing events. If you think about a typical basketball or American football game, there could be literally hundreds of markets that are available to bettors to actually consider. There's literally not enough time for a person today to go through all the data that's available and to manually go through and select what they're looking for. And fundamentally, when it comes to betting, quick access can be the difference between winning and losing. So Our solution saves bettors time by automating the form review process. It's a technology-based service that allows for people to set their preference criteria to discover particular markets that they're interested in, and it automatically delivers those markets in real time to that customer so they can make an informed decision when they're placing a bet. It eliminates the human error side of betting, where potentially opportunities are missed because of the time constraints or because of the amount of volume of data that people are going through. And it also, our system also allows for two types of recommendations provided. One is a customized recommendation that is specifically tailored to your very specific needs and what you're interested in. And the second one, for those who probably don't understand the details of data or the data that's been flowing through, is to allow for you to actually tap into the top recommendations or the most popular tips from across the entire Bet Odyssey community. So effectively, it pulls together all of the recommendations that every single user receives, and it puts that into a bucket and allows for you to access the most popular based on the markets that you're interested in. And it creates automated parlay betting, which is the fastest growing sector of the betting space right now. Our product, therefore, there's two parts to it. We launched a minimum viable product in Australia, which is called Bet Odyssey, and that's targeted to the Australian market, both racing and sport. We have a 35,000 newsletter that we send out, regular recommendations based on our crowd sourced picks. It does daily top picks and also does exotics, and first revenues have been generated. But for the US market, you need to be a little bit more specific, and you need to tailor for that market. So what we're looking to do is we're looking to grow, expand the offerings of the Bet Odyssey product and call it U Parlay, which is going to be the US-based, targeted specifically to the US sports and racing bettor. And that will be all major US sports. It'll have the same core features as Bet Odyssey, which we'll go through in a sec, but it's specifically targeted to the US market. So our traction so far with Bet Odyssey, again, it is an MVP, a minimum viable product. We have over 2,800 people that are registered with Bet Odyssey right now. Our estimated ARPU, or average revenue, monthly revenue per user, is around $2. We're currently seeing a 3.2% conversion rate to subscription and a 1% churn rate, which is actually not too bad for a B2C software as a service type business. And a recent outbound marketing campaign that we did in June, very small sample, we're achieving a $7.50 customer acquisition cost, which is roughly return on CAC is roughly less than 4 months. Our business model is quite simple. In-app, we have a lot of advertising that we actually insert within the applications. We also have advertising opportunities within our newsletter. We have a subscription service, so people that are part of the service and want to get the extra bells and whistles can pay a monthly service fee and receive access to the additional features that we provide. We have a newsletter which obviously provides regular communications with our users, and that also includes some advertising opportunities in there. And we have an affiliate rev share program where we deal directly with the bookmakers here in Australia, and our plan is to obviously expand that into the US to allow for us to do a revenue share on any bets that are placed through our platform. The reason why this growth is really being driven out of the US, probably more so than Australia, is that the US in 2018 actually effectively made it legal for online sports betting. And so as of today, 31 states have now legalized sports betting in the US. And the two big ones being California and Texas are in the pipeline to actually be approved as well. And again, as I said earlier, the market's growing at 13.6% compounded annual growth rate. Total addressable market, based on 106 million people, as I mentioned earlier from Nelson, it roughly works out to a $2.5 billion annual market size. Our specific target is around the 1.2 million U Parlay users for the US market alone by December 2026, which represents around 28.8 million in annual revenue. The beauty about our model is that it is a technology-driven model. We don't have high overheads in terms of resources, so therefore we're not paying experts and we're not paying tipsters to actually sit there, which is quite a high overhead for normal tipping services. Our service is completely driven by technology and therefore is highly scalable. In terms of competitor analysis, so we've given kind of the three sort of main players in the US market today. Picks and parlays, winners and whiners. And these services right now are doing about 1.2 million in monthly active users on their web service. So we provide with Bet Odyssey a lot of the same features that these services provide. However, with the UParlay product, which again, we're going to add on the additional features to allow for it to be a fully loaded feature that will cater for the Australian and the US markets. That allows for us to provide a lot more functionality to users, and also the price point that we're looking to target is actually a lot lower than some of these sites, which charge anywhere from sort of $50 onwards per month or per recommendation. And again, as I said, the system is highly scalable. In terms of our go-to-market strategy, again, this is what we've applied in Australia, and we see ourselves applying the same approach into the US market. So it's all about growing the brand awareness of the actual service and making sure that people know it's available, educating people about the benefits of the service and what it can actually provide for them, both in terms of the automated form guide review process, but as well as the community-driven, AI-driven recommendations that are put together from the entire community. We then convert them to become engaged with our service by joining our email list or becoming a registered user. From there, we can then target those specific people to convert the audience to monthly active users. And finally, our ultimate goal is to convert our MAUs into paying subscribers. Now, just quickly in terms of our background, I've been in the ICT space over 30 years. The last startup that I actually founded, I took public on the Australian Stock Exchange, and Nick Caves actually helped me take that company public. And I headed up the program office in Australia to actually deploy Australia's broadband infrastructure back in 2000 with an $80 million annual capex budget. So that was quite a good project that I was involved in. Nick's background is highly experienced banking and finance professional, very much involved in a lot of private and public equity capital raisings and listings, and was a director of proprietary trading at Credit Suisse. In terms of what we're looking for today, we are seeking to raise $1 million in seed funding, which will effectively cover the customization of the Bet Odyssey product, the rebranding to UParlay specifically for the US market. And we're not just looking for funding, we're actually looking for people that can partner with us to actually give us introductions into the local bookmakers and sports books, so we can actually look at doing both advertising as well as affiliate program marketing. The current structure of the company, we're basically domiciled here in Australia. Our plan, and we've already set these plans in motion, is to relocate to the US by setting up a US parent company. All IP will be transferred to the US parent entity, and any investment that comes through will be in the US domiciled company, the parent company, which at this stage will be registered in Nevada. Basically, use of funds will be to launch the UParlay service, to support the sales and marketing activities, and also to just grow the user base to get to 1.2 million monthly active users within the next 5 years. Again, I'd like to thank you all for your time, and I'll now open the floor up for questions.
Thank you, gents from Australia, for waking up early and not falling asleep in the middle of all of this. We'll see you right back here in 2 weeks. We're going to hear from Rowdy Bars and Phoenix on September 21st. Another awesome pitch day for 100K. And until then, take care of yourself. And if you can, somebody else too.